In this video, I'm going to cover many topics. We'll try to understand what is an on-premises data gateway in Power BI. And also we will look at how to download, install, and configure a data gateway. And we'll look at two practical examples, one with SQL Server Data Source and Python data source. And later on, we'll publish two reports to Power BI and configure the data gateway. What is a data gateway in Power BI? Now, this is pretty important in case if you're trying to bring in the data from your on-premises, and this is a client application that runs on a local computer. As I said, if you have on-premises data and you want to publish reports onto service and you want to bring in this data, then you need a data gateway, and it acts as a secure bridge between your data and also the cloud services, and it allows for scheduled data refreshes and secure access to data that is not stored in the cloud. So that's the reason why you need a data gateway in those situations. Now, what are the types of gateways? As you can see on the picture on the right, these are the on-premises data sources, and those are the consumers and on the cloud side. And there are three types of data gateways in Power BI. One is standard, where multiple users can access multiple data sources. And another one is a personal data gateway. Only in case if you want to use it for yourself, you can do that. And the third one is a virtual network data gateway. This will allow multiple users to connect multiple data sources. No installation is required because it is like a Microsoft managed service. And like we have already discussed, when do you need a data gateway in Power BI? So let us try to explore that. You need a data gateway when you want to access and refresh on-premises data from Power BI service. Like for example, in case if you have your SQL service, SQL Server Data or any other data which you have on-premises, then you need a data gateway. In case if your data is sitting in the cloud, you don't need a data gateway. And in case if you want to schedule refresh for on-premises data, then you need a data gateway. And like for example, hybrid data reporting, some data is in the cloud and some data is on premises, then you need that kind of a data gateway, which will help you to refresh the data. And also in case if you have any live connections to on-premises data. And in case if you're working in Python or R scripts, then and your data is as a Python source, then you need a personal data gateway. So you don't need standard, you need a personal data gateway. And there are various requisites to install a data gateway. So one is your operating system should be at least 64-bit version of Windows Server 2012 or later, and your hardware should be having 8 CPU cores and 8 GB of RAM, and you need a work or school account. Then and that way you can register the gateway, and the machine must always be on. It has to be stable and wired network, etc. So these are the various prerequisites, and we will look at what are the installation steps that are required to install standard data gateway. And if you go to Power BI service, and like let me bring that window here, on the top right you have a down arrow. If you click on down arrow as shown on the right, you can download any of those applications. For example, if you click on data gateway, a new browser window will open up, and you can download a standard or personal mode data gateway depending upon your needs. And in our case, we are going to install both of them, and we are going to use SQL Server as data source and also Python as a data source. And once you download the gateway, then you will follow the prompts. You will click on the executable file and you accept the terms and start using your window prompts to install the application. Once you do that, you have to enter the email address and sign in, and then register a new gateway on whatever computer you're installing it, and you have your recovery keys and all. You have to store them in a secure place, and once you install, you have to confirm the installation. So you need to make sure that you go back to Power BI service and try to verify the gateway in Power BI service. So you can go to settings as shown here. Let me pull that window here, and if you click on the gear icon on the top right and you click on your manage connections and gateways, you can configure them. So once you do everything, the installation will be completed and you can start using the data gateway. Let us try to look at the step-by-step installation. If you have downloaded the standard version, this is the file. It's a pretty large file, 700 MB, as you can see. Click on that file, the executable, and once you click on it, then follow the prompts and let me just click on it. And once you click on it, it will ask you where it should be installed, the path, and you accept the terms of use and privacy. Then once you are okay with everything, then you can click on install. Once you start install, this process will take a few minutes, probably anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes. And as it is installing, you will see the progress bar as well. Once it's installed, in another new window, you can configure and you can enter your sign-in credentials and make sure that it is authenticated. And like as shown here, you can use the default browser and enter your email address, then authenticate this data gateway. As shown here, give a name to it and add a recovery key. Make sure that you save it somewhere, and configuration is happening now, and the success window is shown here, and your data gateway is pretty much ready. And if you go to documentation, we have already completed these steps and you have several options. Please read through the documentation and look at the limitations and any additional requirements you might have. They have exhaustive documentation, and also look through the FAQs, and they have several questions and answers. Maybe some of your questions might be answered there. In case if you're having difficulty, please look at the documentation. In case if you have difficulty in installing the data gateway, look at the documentation. Now that we are done there, let us try to go back to Power BI Desktop. This is a report, and we have 3 report pages there, and every page has a page refresh. I have direct query mode. I have my SQL Server data coming into my Power BI, and it is coming in every second. And we have a report which is having the data coming from SQL Server. Say this is the data. If this is the SQL Server Management Studio, and this is the query, in fact, and I'm executing this query and populating the table there, and every second the data is coming from one table to another. And also by using page refresh, I'm kind of simulating live data, and this is how it is working perfectly. Now, in case if you click on publish, you can publish this to Power BI service, and let us make sure it is direct query there. And once you go back to home and click on publish, you can publish, and let us see what happens. Because the data is on premises, it's in my SQL Server, and I can select a particular workspace, then publish this report there. It is publishing. You can see the progress there. And once it is done, let us see what happens. Do we get any error? Yeah. It says that your file was published but disconnected. Obviously, because the data source is on my computer, but the report is in the cloud. So we have to make sure that we configure those things. Once you click on that button, you can go to this place and click on Actions, the play button, and make sure that you add that to Gateway. We've already installed a gateway, so that is automatically picked up, and the gateways, you added that to gateway, and give a name to the connection. Let me name it as Fitbit SQL, and I have to use my server credentials, SQL Server credentials. Once I do that part, and as shown on the screen on the right side, save it. Your connection is also ready. Now, if you go back to the report, it should work. So it's on, this report is on the service as shown here. All the pages are there. So it's pretty nicely working. And if you go to the semantic model, you can manually refresh, and or you can schedule refresh every hour or something like that based on your needs. And if I go back to the report as shown here, the date is up to 10th January. And if I go back to my semantic model and refresh it, and let me just click on the manual refresh there, and let me just go back to the report. Jan 10th, 2022. The data is picked up till that point. And if I refresh on the right, you can see there are no errors and it's been refreshed. If I go back to the report page for now, and if I reload the page, the new data is coming. So it's coming in from my on-premises SQL Server into this report. So by using a data gateway, we are able to achieve that part. Let us see how to use Python as a data source and do the same. And for this, you need a personal data gateway, and hopefully you have installed it. Once you install it and configure everything, this should work. This is the report, and if I click on transform data, I will show you how I've used Python and kind of used Python script to create. I wrote a small function in that Python. Let me show you that. Clicking on the gear icon, and this function will find the palindromes in my two of my columns. And this is a pretty simple function. It's going to check a number, and if it is a palindrome, it will spit out as a palindrome. If not, it will tell you it's not a palindrome. I've created two columns by using this function. And if the syntax is there and if you have enabled Python, then you should be able to use the same code to replicate this example. And once I've done this part, I have closed and applied. I have two columns there. And once I close and apply, the data is there in my report that we have just seen. So this is using a Python. The data source was created. So if you publish this again to the workspace, and I can do that same thing here, publish it. This is the progress. I can see the report is being published. I'm assuming that I'm going to get the same kind of warning that it is not connected. Yep, the file was published but disconnected. So I need to click on Open Dataset Settings. And instead of the standard data gateway, I need to use my personal data gateway. So let me just open that window for you and click on Gateway and Cloud Connections. We are in the same semantic model. And I have two gateways, and the bottom one is for SQL Server and the top one is for personal. So if I click on personal and edit all those data source credentials, I should have my personal data gateway set up and configured for this particular data set. Let me go back to my workspaces here and let me open up the report. Let me just go to that. Say, for example, not this one, the bottom one. This is the report. Yep, this is working. The data is coming in here, and I have used the local data set, and also I've used Python as a data source. So I'm using a personal gateway. So this is pretty cool. We could do it, and you can refresh in case if I click on manual refresh, I don't have any errors. As you see on the right, I have absolutely no errors. So that means it's working. And since it's Python based data source, my personal gateway is handling everything for me. So I'm back in the report page and everything is working perfectly. So in a short time, we understood what are the types of data gateways in Power BI. And we have looked at two examples. One is with the SQL Server, one with the Python. And for SQL Server, based on your needs, you can use either standard or personal. As shown here, these are the two data gateways I have, one for Python and one for SQL. For Python, you need your personal data gateway. So this is pretty cool, and pretty easily we could understand the concepts and we could implement two different types of data sources by using data gateway. We could interact with the on-premises data and refresh it and look at the report pages. So hopefully this video will help you in understanding what are data gateways, and hopefully you should be able to replicate any of your examples. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.